4.
Well, I'm sorry we've lost the International Snooker just for the moment. We hope to be able to return just as soon as we possibly can. In the meantime, I'll play you just a little music. Well, actually, before I even play a note of music, I'm pleased to say we're able to return now to the snooker.
So that completes our first programme of this championship from Bournemouth. We'll be back on BBC2 tonight at 8 o'clock. Bye-bye.
In 5 minutes, Laurie Emberson explores the natural beauty of Slapton Lee as seen through the eyes of a grass snake on A Path to the Sea. First, on BBC2 at 5:30, it's time for a news summary from Nick Clarke.
Good evening. The headlines today. Mrs. Thatcher tells the big petrol companies they'll lose out if they don't hold down prices. 5 fishermen lost their lives when their boat went down off the Isle of Man. And Sarah Ferguson back at work in the office today, but with a royal bodyguard. Now, these stories and others with subtitles. Mrs. Thatcher has warned the oil companies they'll lose out if they don't cut petrol prices. She said motorists would go to smaller, independent firms who charged less for their petrol. She'd been asked about the oil company's refusal to absorb the budget's petrol tax increase, and Neil Kinnock challenged her to introduce a windfall tax on petrol profits. But speaking at question time in the Commons, she said such a move would be premature. Shares reached new record levels in the city on continued optimism about the effect of the budget. The FT30 share index touched a series of all-time highs before closing up nearly 25 points at 1414.4. More general optimism about the economy sent sterling over $1.50, but it fell to close at $1.48.9. The Court of Appeal has told the GLC that it can't distribute £76 million in grants before its abolition. Today's action was brought by Westminster Council. The GLC is to appeal to the House of Lords, but West Midlands County Council, also facing abolition, can switch an extra £800,000 to a general fund. The appeal court rejected an attempt by 2 district councils to stop the cash being spent. 5 trawlermen are feared dead after their boat was lost in the Irish Sea. 1 body has been found, and the Coast Guard says hopes are fading fast for the other 4. High winds have brought power cuts, road closures and snowdrifts in Scotland and Northern Ireland. The winds have reached hurricane force. 1 Coast Guard said he's never seen anything like it. A doctor named in the Commons and accused of raping a girl of 8 has said he's totally innocent. And in a statement issued by his solicitor, he's condemned an MP's use of privilege to name him. He says the publicity has brought suffering to his family and made his life a misery. Tory MP Geoffrey Dickens named the man in a question, asking if he'd be charged with sex offences. An emergency bill is to go before Parliament banning sex between child brides and their husbands. Graham Bright, Conservative MP for Luton South, hopes it'll become law within a few weeks. He's introducing the bill after hearing that an Omani student in his constituency has a wife of 13. Sarah Ferguson got back to work today after the announcement of her engagement to Prince Andrew. She had a police escort to her office in Mayfair, where she works for a graphics company. Princess Anne has said Sarah is lovely and called her brother an extremely lucky young man. And Prince Philip summed up the royal reaction to the engagement in a single word: splendid. Ian Botham has reacted angrily to suggestions of drug-taking during his marathon charity walk. He said it was amazing that people were inhuman enough to make such allegations. Well, now later this evening, following François Mitterrand's appointment of the Gaullist leader Jacques Chirac as Prime Minister, Newsnight looks at the composition of the new French government. And from South Africa, Michael Burke reports on the first anniversary of the killings in Uitenhage. And Martin Sheen, in a new play, The Normal Heart, talks about his role in the West End and the need to combat the AIDS virus. That's all in Newsnight at 10:45 on BBC2. And now, a look at the weather.
Well, those storm force winds in the north we just heard about will decrease overnight, and tomorrow will be much less windy. Most places will be dry, with at least a little sunshine, but a few mainly light showers are likely in the north and west, and parts of Northern Ireland and western Scotland may have more general rain late in the day. BBC Southwest, Path to the Sea.